Hello, good afternoon and welcome to New Forest Morphs. I'm here today with our new breeder series and it's film number 3. We've got Luca over here. Daddy's behind the camera. So let's introduce you to Luca. So Luca, how old are you, Luca?
4.
He's 4 and he's been helping Mummy with the snakes. Now you've picked up 6 snakes a couple of weeks ago and are you enjoying helping Mummy looking after snakes? Good boy, well done. And here's Mummy, there's Amy, and Dad's behind the camera. So thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Adam, for being our cameraman today. As everyone knows, it's been a really hot weekend and we've got to be careful because with heat we get spikes. So I switched off the fans, but these fans are very important to have in your facility. Why do you think we have to have fans in a facility, do you think? Any ideas?
I know the answer, but I'm seeing if Luca does.
Yeah.
Luca, when you're hot, how do you get cold?
Leave the door open.
Leave the door open. Well, we've left the door open today, but just because of the noise of the fans, we switched them off, and we've switched our mobile phones off as well, so there's no buzzing. And I've even ordered my seat, because one of my subscribers thought I was being a bit noisy on my seat, so I've decided to oil it. So we will try and make this nice for everybody. But let me ask, how's your week been, Amy, and how are things going with the snakes?
Yeah, they're going really good. I mean, Luca's actually been away for the week with his grandparents.
Lovely.
So
Did you have
I've
a good
just
time?
been
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
frantically cleaning my house and getting all the stuff done that I can't normally get done while he's here.
Wonderful. I've heard that you've got some of your snakes onto food pretty quickly. So
Yeah.
Jupiter's eating now,
Yeah, and Cammy, I
And-
believe it's Cammy.
which is wonderful. The 2 big het clown girls, one of them's het clown, one of them's a lesser het clown or butter het clown. I reckon they are building ready for September, October breeding season.
She's not missed a meal since I've had her.
And she's quite big, isn't she? I mean,
Jupiter's huge.
you're a little bit worried. You thought she might have had an ovulation. It's quite funny. I got a phone call from Amy. And this is the nice thing about the new breeder series is that when you support a new family in the hobby, you're there as a breeder to answer their questions. And it's very important to have good communication. So Amy will give me a call, she'll text me a message, and she'll say, send me a picture of one of the snakes and say, is she ovulating or what's going on here? The reality is Jupiter's a big girl. She's not had a clutch for a couple of years. And she's in feeding mode right now because, as you know,
Yeah.
she's obviously moved, but that move didn't trouble her.
No, not at all.
She's in what I call
Yeah, she.
building mode, which means
Yeah,
that she will probably give you a clutch if you do everything right. And we're going to take you through a step-by-step process, rather than baffle everyone with science in one big hit. Each week we're going to just talk about the preparation for the seasonality. So where we are now, we've got 3 or 4 months to prepare for the breeding season. And the most important thing you can do to prepare for the breeding season is to de-stress your snakes. If you de-stress them, they'll eat better, they'll build better, the follicle development will be better. And one of the things that you were trying to do, one of your problems was getting hold of some decent sized water bowls. So tell us your solution, Amy. How have you managed to do that?
Well, I just kept looking because they are really. I mean, I know the dog bowls, but they are really expensive.
Oh, they are.
And I just kept looking, and finally I found the range, which ironically we hadn't tried. We tried everywhere else, and they had them for $3.99.
I'd be grateful to know who that is because Mandy goes out and she pays $8.99 for ours.
Yeah, no,
That's
it's
a £5 saving. And
$3.99.
when you've got 400 animals, that's a lot of saving.
Yeah, it's $3.99 in the range. The range was, what one was it, Adam?
The range would be. I don't know the retail park. It's the one at the start of Pole coming from Bournemouth.
Okay, well, what I'll do is Jared lives in Poole, so I'll get him to get my future water bowls for $3.99 again.
Yeah, I
That's
would.
a lot
Yeah.
better. Let's, Adam, can I just show you
Yeah.
the size of these bowls? Now, you might look at that and think, where's the diving board for the snake to go in? Yeah, like a little jacuzzi, little swimming pool. Now, I noticed that Luca was sussing out my swimming pool on the way in, weren't you? And you're thinking I should have brought my swimming costume
Yeah.
on a hot day. Maybe next Sunday when you come, your family should come early and bring your costume and have a swim. Would you like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well done, Luca. So, anyway, what I'll say is, when you look at the water bowl, let's just talk about water bowls today as part of your preparation for thing. Now, why is it important to have a large water bowl, do you think?
I think from what you said before, it's because they wrap round it and they cool down. Can't precisely remember what you said because my memory's
Yeah.
cack, but I remember they wrap round it and cool down.
They do. Particularly the females, because during the build-up of follicle development, they need to cool those down for them to grow. And so, of course, a lot of the professional racking systems will come with these half-size bowls that are built into the rubs. They have a deli cup. They still work, don't get me wrong, these professionals know what they're doing. But I learned this from Rob Barraclough, a very good breeder, very experienced. I couldn't believe the size of his water bowls when I was a new breeder, and I thought, why has he got such big water bowls? But yet his productivity, his success rate, and locking and everything else, you study from those that have got experience and you learn from them. And I changed the big water bowls, and my success rate went through the roof. I mean, this year has been unbelievable. We were getting nearly 12 out of 12 locks.
Yeah.
That's almost unheard of. To get 12 out of 12 locks, I was thinking I'd be happy to get 8.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, what's going on
Happy
there?
to get 1.
Yeah. Oh, you'll get 1. Don't you worry about that. You got some studs in there, I tell you. But anyway, so what I say to the new breeders out there, if you can, source reliably priced from the range, like you say, $3.99, and they're this size, are they?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
they're
they're
that
about that
size.
size, yeah.
They are
Yeah.
about that size.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic.
I mean,
So there
they've
you
got
go.
wolf on the side of them, but who cares?
The other thing, I
The
don't care.
large medium bowl, large water bowls.
Yeah.
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 So the other thing that a water bowl will do, besides the cooling, is snakes like to hydrate themselves because they like to have baths and they like to go in and they like to just sit, particularly when they're going through a shed cycle. If your humidity isn't quite right, they'll just jump in their water bowls, and their big water bowl will give them a chance to do their own self-hydration. So what you're doing is you're accommodating. They also like structure. So although you might think there's not much room for a big bowl in your rub, actually they like the structure. They like to be in crammed positions, and they like to be able to bowl wrap. They like to be in their hides. You know, they got plenty of room to move about, but they want to have the safety of structure around them. So then that helps to de-stress your animal, and therefore you'll get more success. The more you can de-stress and the more comfortable you make them. The other thing is we pour a third of this water every day over the back of the rub on the hot spot, as you have been doing. And what that does, it lifts the humidity up, and then the next day it's dried out. We do it again, and of course when we took water every day into the rubs, when you top up, you're putting fresh water in all the time. And then we have a deep clean every 3 days. Clean the bowl out to make sure there's no growth or anything in there. They get fresh water. So if you keep good quality water and you keep the big bowls, you'll find those 2 things alone will improve your success rate massively. Clean water and a good size, good humidity. That's
Well, Cornelius, actually, we were sorting out his tank the other night, and I've got like a specific jug that I use because we've got one for the kitchen, so I thought I'll buy one for upstairs.
Yeah.
And I was doing the water bowls, and I was holding him at the same time because Adam was doing his tank. And I kind of lifted him out, and I kind of showed him the jug, and I was just kind of like, "Do you want a drink?" He just dived right in, like proper underwater and everything. And Adam's like, "Is he going to drown?" I said, "No, he's fine."
Well, Bruce has been in the water for 3 days. Now look at how beautiful he is now. I'll show you Bruce. Just have a little look at. He's just one of my special albino boys. Look how bright he is, and look how clean and pure. He's had a new paint job just literally 2 days ago. Completely perfect shed, and just look how bright he is. When a snake shows bright colours, that's an indication that your snake is happy. When the head of the snake is on top of its body and it's on its bowl, or it's in a position where it's looking healthy. So when you're inspecting a snake to see whether a snake is healthy or not, you want to see the colour of the snake. You also want to see the position of the snake. If it looks lethargic or its head's like that, and it's just like, ugh, there's a problem. Okay? But when a snake is up, alert, bright, and radiant, wants to feed, not lethargic, you've got a healthy animal there. Of course, you can also inspect an animal. You can use cotton buds, open up their mouths to check if they've got any RI issues. If they've got any saliva, or if they've got any bubbling in the mouth. This is an indication they've got RI. A lot of people don't realise that you can take a cotton bud. I'll show you what we've got. These are the cotton buds, and all you do is you basically use the cotton bud, because it's got a soft area. You go into the side of the mouth and you just slowly go. You use that to lift gently.
Yeah.
You have a look inside and you can see whether there's any saliva or any bubbling in the mouth, because a lot of the RA is hidden, you don't realise. So there is a technique of doing that, and it's very wise to do regular checks, probably once every couple of months, on your snakes to make sure they're clean, they haven't got an RI issue, because an RI issue comes from stress.
Yeah.
But, so that's what I'm saying to you. If you de-stress your animals and keep them at low stress levels, they're much more likely to be healthy and not receive an RI issue. And even if the snake has an RI issue, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
You can bring them back. So the idea is that you would then go to a vet, you'd get them treated, you give them either antibiotics if they need it, but there is a way of actually bringing back a snake. It's not doom and gloom at the end of the day, and most breeders have experienced it if they're honest. So that's just a little update on Bruce, on water bowls. The second issue we want to discuss is temperatures, heating and thermostats, because this is something when I came into the hobby I had no idea what I was doing. And of course we always assume that new breeders coming in have an understanding of what they're doing. The reality is that we need to kind of explain things right down to the basics. So what was your question this week, Amy? You phoned me up or you texted me and you said, Paul, I've got a question on thermostats.
Yeah, so it was actually Adam that come up with the idea. I didn't think of it.
Yeah.
But essentially what it was is that obviously we've got an extension lead, and we've got all the separate thermostats running off of it.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, can't we just plug in one thermostat to control, 3 or 4 heat mats?
Yeah.
As opposed to having all the separate things. And obviously I rung you and...
That's right, and you're actually spot on. You don't have to have a thermostat for every heat mat. You can run off one thermostat, could take up to 5. We don't go any more than 5. We have 5, so a thermostat could take 5 heat mats. But the key is where you place the thermostat. Now we place our thermostats in the centre of the racking system. So if we're on a rack of 5, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the thermostat goes in the middle. So why do you think I'd put the thermostat in the middle?
I'm assuming because heat rises?
Heat rises, so what you've got is you might have 89 here, you might have 89.5 there, and you might have 90 there. Yeah? And down here you might have progressively less heat.
Yeah.
Having said that, because it's on top of another system, we don't have that problem so much. And the more snakes you keep, the more the humidity in the air. When I walked in here today, I could feel the humidity in the air, and I haven't even got these humidifiers running. Jared and I were creating humidity, and we weren't doing the water bowl approach, and it killed my facility because everything went calcified, everything started to kind of rot, and we've had to clean it all up. We need to do some more repairs, but we did, under advice, go for humidity in the atmosphere to save us time and work. The reality is, it killed the facility. I wouldn't do it. So now I've learnt my lesson. I said, right, bigger water bowls.
Yeah.
Pour your water every day, probably a third of your bowl over the back of the hotspot. Let the heat dry up. Let's create the humidity during the day. Let's repeat the process. And that way, when you walk in, imagine 400 water bowls, and half of their rub system is going to be rained on. You walk in, you can feel it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to have these blowers.
I walked into the bedroom the other night, and
Did you
felt
feel
like I was in Dubai.
Well, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. It means you're getting your humidity right.
I was like, Jesus.
But honestly, 60 to 70% humidity is fine for these animals.
Yeah.
You don't want to go too higher than 75 to 80, depending on when the breeding season occurs. When you start breeding, you might make sure there's more water in the system. They need to be well hydrated because it's a stressful experience breeding.
Oh yeah.
So if you get them down, get their stress down, you'll be more successful with the locking. You'll find the whole process be a lot easier. But good question. So yeah, the answer is you can have even 10, but I wouldn't push 10. I'd go 5. You've got 6 animals, so you'll be okay with 1 on 6 or 2 on, or you could have 2 on 3.
Yeah.
Whatever you feel. But then what you also need is you need to invest in one of these. Now I'm going to give you one of these, which is I've got a spare one.
Luca, not too many, buddy.
This is probably one of the most important tools that a breeder can invest in, and they cost about 20 quid. And it's Luca, you'd like this. This is a heat gun. And what it is, there's 2 controls. If I show you, so you press the button, and there's 2 controls. You can see you can either have it in Fahrenheit or you can have it in Celsius. I've got mine in Fahrenheit. Can you see the 84?
Yeah.
So if I look at the outside of the rub, it's 80 to 82 on the outside.
Yeah.
So it's quite hot at the moment.
Yeah.
Now if I open up Bowser, and he's going into a shed, so you can see how wet I've put it in there for him to help him shed. Can you see the humidity? You might think that's too much, but it's not, because they're going through a shedding process. If I now click the back end of that, he's showing 85, 86 at the back, which is perfectly okay.
Yeah.
They can be comfortable at 86 at the back. They don't have to be at 89 all the time. Because I put the water, it's taken a degree or 2 off the heat.
Yeah.
But I don't mind, because the snake likes it. He likes to be at 82 to 84 anyway. Most snakes are very comfortable at 82 to 84.
Yeah.
The 89 is for digesting, and it's for development of the eggs. So when a female's sitting on eggs and she wants to incubate them, she'll often nest on the hot spot because she wants the eggs to be kept at the right temperature.
Yeah.
Do you get the drift? But the majority of the time, the snake is comfortable between 82 and 84. So don't fall into the trap of making sure that everything's going to be 89, because I actually cautiously drop below that. So this is a very important thing. Now there is a laser on here, a red laser. There we go. So see the red laser? Can you see it on me? Yeah. So what you do is you point it. Let's just check your sweeties. Your starbursts are at 80 at the moment. Let's check your apple juice. Your apple juice is at 77. So if you want to cool down, I'll drink your apple juice. If you want to heat up, eat your sweets. Well, there we go. So
I wouldn't.
I've got one, Luca. I've got one for you. You can be the keeper of this gun, okay? and you can help Mummy check temperatures. And how often do you check temperatures, do you think?
Twice a day.
Twice a day? Yeah, it's very good. Most breeders don't do that,
Oh.
but twice a day would be good. One in the morning when you come in, and one in the evening, just to make sure your temps are okay. But particularly if it's very hot, come in at lunchtime and just see, make sure that everything's not spiking, because you set the thermostat at 89, but if you've got a heat wave, my 89 suddenly shoots up to 91. I think I didn't touch anything. Mother Nature can affect things, because the temperature. Honestly, the most important thing is stabilise as much as you can the ambient temperature in the room, and then the thermostats will be much better. The other thermostat I'd recommend if you want sensitivity, they're 25 quid each though, that's the problem. They're not cheap, but it's the Inkbird. Now these are excellent. I've got one up here, and I'll just show everyone what we use. We bought these from Herb Exotics, and they come as part of the package. They come with these, which I'm happy with them, but I must admit I prefer these. Yeah. Because these give you sensitivity analysis, so you can actually monitor to up to 0.3 of a degree. Okay. So when you're doing your settings, if there is any fluctuation, because these are going to go up and down all the time. Yeah. But they trigger heat when there's only a 0.3 of a degree adjustment, and that's Fahrenheit. Oh, okay. That's that's centigrade. Sorry. Yeah. So what that does, it means that it switches off and on the heat at a much smaller percentage change, which means it's more sensitive to heat spikes. Whereas if you have a 0.5 or a 1 degree change, your temperatures are going to fluctuate much bigger. Yeah. And the snakes won't like that. So the small variation means that the temperatures will stay a lot better. Yeah. And that's what I recommend, is something like that. But obviously you've got your own thermostat system, you're starting off, and as long as it's good and it's holding temps, stay with it.
Oh, that room's definitely warm, don't worry about that.
And I would say if you do want to expand your collection and you want to add any more to your collection at a later point, we'll have a little chat about these, because these might actually be the thing that might help a lot. But they don't go wrong. We've had ours for 5 years, and I would say they're pretty good. So we've talked about temps. Now, Adam, we've got the 30-minute film on here. Yep. We've probably already had half of that already. Yeah, we have. Am I about right? So we've got a lovely surprise. New Frost Morphs is going to have their first ever tarantula coming to the facility, and it's courtesy of Amy, Adam and Luca, who brought 2 of their pets, and would like, Amy, would you be kind enough to introduce us your pets, and then we'll
well, this is 2 of many, so
yeah. How many have you got?
15.
One is dead.
15. Did one of them die?
Yes.
Oh, what a shame.
Only one dead.
Did one die? Oh.
Again, it's the thing with spiders as well. Is, I mean, obviously, like, you keep your temperatures constant for the snakes. Yeah. Spiders do well at room temperature, but if it gets too hot, too cold,
Yeah, so they're quite sensitive. So would you say that what's their ideal temps that they need?
Just room temperature, whatever you have your house in.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we have our back door
right here at 80.
Yeah.
I don't want to overheat them here.
No, they're fine.
They're fine. So tell us a little bit about the ones you've got here and the type that you've got and why you've chosen them, and then we'll talk a little bit about what you need to do to keep them, so that anyone that wants to get into this is just really sharing your hobby with us now. We're sharing our... So I just thought it'd be really... I've never kept tarantulas. I think you're going to do all the handling. Yeah. I'm not going to handle. I'm not brave enough to handle at this stage. I'm a complete novice. But what I'm going to do is let Amy do all the handling and explanation, and then you can explain, if you want to go for a tarantula, what would you recommend, and the type of and the type of tarantula that you would recommend, puppy dog friendly type ones with low risk. Yeah. Now there is a lot of controversy about whether you should handle them or not. Yes. Some people do, some people don't, and everyone's got their own view. I see quite a few breeders that are quite comfortable handling them, so I think it's really down to personal choice. But obviously you've got to be very wise and careful if you've got children, and very wise. I mean, Luca wouldn't touch any of these, would he? No. No. But you can enjoy them still, and you can show respect for them. So over to you, Mummy. You're going to have a 5-minute slot on the tarantulas. I'll ask a few questions, and you can explain your process. How long have you been doing this, by the way?
Oh, tarantulas? How many years, Adam? I had them when we met, didn't we? Yeah. We've been together, what, 16 years?
16 years.
Wow, so 16, oh, okay, right, fantastic.
So 16 plus years.
Plus 16 plus.
And what got you into tarantulas in the first place?
I just really like tarantulas. I mean, they're just very misunderstood creatures, a bit like snakes, really.
Well, while we're talking, take one out and we can show one out.
I'll show you this tour.
So what is this one called, and what type of tarantula
Well,
have you got?
she doesn't have a name.
Okay.
but this is a Brazilian black.
Brazilian black. So I'm guessing they're from Brazil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do have a scientific name, but I'm not going to bore people with scientific names.
Go on.
It's if I can pronounce it, it's Gamastola pulchra.
Wow, I'm impressed. Very good. And what have you got in keeping them? She's in a. That's not her home, is it?
Yeah.
That's what she lives in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us all about it. So to set these up, what have you got in there to set them up?
So literally, it's just you can get speciality like tarantula dirt, for the want of a better word.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's just basics is humidity as well.
Okay.
So and obviously that's. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, that's pretty.
So what level of humidity do they need?
Oh, you just make sure their water's topped up.
Okay.
I mean, we don't obviously different species need different things. So some species will need misting twice a day or whatever.
And what is that? The little water ball they have?
Yeah.
Is that all they need?
Yeah.
And they've got little breathable holes around the side.
Yeah.
And they're just in room temperature.
Yeah.
And do you handle this one or not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's
So
quite.
show us how do you go about handling them?
So you just tap them at the back.
Right.
Just give them a little nudge.
Adam can zoom in on this. Aren't they beautiful?
And they are literally the puppy dogs. Yeah, she's.
Yeah, is she right?
Yeah. And she's actually spinning web. I don't know if you can see.
I can see web. She's spinning web all
There
the
you go.
time. So why would she be spinning web?
They just do sometimes.
That is amazing. Now the things to.
You can see it hanging off my thumb.
Yeah. Does she like a little bit of exercise?
Yeah, I mean, some of them are quite curious, and when you change the waters and do maintenance, they will kind of crawl out the tub.
Yeah.
And that's kind of your cue to be like, okay, they've crawled out, maybe they do want to come out. But again, it depends on the species, whether you hold them or not.
Yeah.
I mean, I've owned several of these, and I've never had a bad one.
Okay.
I've never had one that's been moody or temperamental or...
So these could be a good beginner one.
Yeah.
And what are the dangers to watch out for when you're handling tarantulas?
They can bite.
Yeah.
Every animal has the potential to bite, but with tarantulas, you've just got to kind of mimic the ground. So although I'm moving my hands to follow her, just don't do any sudden movements, don't breathe on her, anything to make her jump. And to her, she's just walking across the floor.
And what does she eat and how often do you feed?
Well, the smaller they are, the more frequent you feed. So she probably has a feed every week. That you can see she's got a big butt, so she's feeding alright.
Yeah.
But you can give them crickets, you can give them locusts. Some people give them mealworms.
Okay.
There's also these massive worms, Mario worms, I think they are.
Okay.
But obviously, it depends what you want to feed them on.
Yeah.
I've got bearded dragons, so I just get locusts. So they just eat locusts, and they're quite happy to sit there. And obviously, it's the same with snakes. You have to choose your prey item, like the size of it for the snake.
So
The same with the tarantula.
How often do you feed them?
Well, she gets fed once a week.
So once a week. Okay, fair enough.
So she's
beautiful. Thank you very much for bringing her. And she is a darling, isn't she? She
Yeah,
really is. So
and
that's
she's-
So she's got all
Thank
your.
you for that.
Yeah. Do you want me to top up her water, or is she going to?
No, there's no point because when I go home it'll spill anyway.
Okay, fine.
So-
There's so much moisture in there. She's fine. And then, would you change the water on a regular basis?
Yeah, so every other day, something
Every
like
other
that. You
day?
just open the tub, check that there's water in there. I mean, spiders are notorious for putting dirt in their
Okay.
thing. As you can see, I need to
Yeah.
give that a little bit of a wash because
It's
they keep dirt in
amazing.
it.
I never realised that you can keep a tarantula in such a small space, but it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, males, basically, their purpose in life is to breed.
Yeah.
And when they're mature, they only live for a few months.
Okay.
Sometimes up to a year, depends how lucky you get. But with males, it's better to keep them in a smaller enclosure, so they, as bad as it sounds, so they don't move about too much. Because the more they move about, the more they wear themselves out. They're essentially killing themselves.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So if you're planning on breeding, you got to keep them in not ridiculously small, but not like that size for a male.
And how many babies can you breed with them? I mean, when you.
Depending on the species, you can get up to 200, 300, 400 spiders.
Wow.
Hence why I don't breed,
That's a lot of work.
because I haven't got the space for that.
Okay.
But yeah, so it just depends on the species. But
No, and what would you pay for an animal, a spider of that calibre?
that an adult female for her would easily be over £100.
Right. Okay.
But that size, probably about 40, 60.
40 to 60.
Yeah.
So really, for a family that wants to get into this, it's not going to necessarily break the bank because the enclosures are not that expensive as
No.
well. We're probably looking to set up and set one up. What you're looking at, probably £50 to buy the animal, and
Yeah,
probably
and
about
then-
another £50 to get the
No,
enclosure.
like that. If you're just going to do it, you can get them on Amazon.
Okay. So
So
you could probably do it for
Probably a maximum of about 5 of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's not a high, heavy expense.
No.
And like you say, if they're puppy dog tame and you feel comfortable, they can be great pets.
Yeah, I mean,
are they okay being handled, or would you say not that often? Just
again, it's controversy. I mean, I don't handle mine all the time, because I don't really see the need to.
Yeah.
But if I'm doing maintenance and stuff like that, and they have a wander about and stuff like that, then I'll get them out. And
Yes.
you know, I mean, they say that with spiders, it's very controversial. They don't have feelings. They don't have, there's no thing to them. It's just they exist. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But to me, they experience pain. They experience hunger and stuff like that. So technically, they do have feelings, just not as we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's controversy. There's always going to be one side saying this, one side saying that.
Yeah.
So
really, you've got to kind of play it all by ear and see how you feel, and then do your research.
Yeah.
Did you have to do quite a lot of research before you got in, or have you just learned as you've gotten along?
I did a bit of research for some of them.
Yeah.
But once you start keeping them different species, it's pretty much bog standard for all species. You just might have to change it every now and again for a different species.
Okay. Well, we've got just a couple of minutes left to the end of the show, so why don't we just move on to this next beautiful tarantula, which this is the one you showed us a photograph of last time.
Yeah, I'm going to move the table a bit
And
closer.
tell us, if you explain to me the species and how old she is it a girl or boy?
It's a girl.
And how do you sex them, by the way?
I could show you, but
Maybe not. But there's a way of doing it.
Yeah.
So are they like boys? They've got hemipenes, or they got like what have they got?
Well, it's weird because with boys they actually they've got like what do you call them? Hooks on their front legs.
Okay.
And that's where their private areas are.
Oh, really?
On their legs.
So they've got more than one, have they?
Yeah, they've got one on each leg.
Okay.
And so when they go to impregnate the female, it's actually their leg that they stick underneath.
Wow. So
And
they
try
really
to
are
go
getting
for that area.
They really are getting their leg over there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay,
show us this.
But females tend to be bigger than males.
And this girl here, what's the species and what's?
This is a Mexican Redknee.
Lovely. I think they're stunningly beautiful.
They have recently changed, so they've changed it. So it was Brachypelma smithi, but now it's been changed to Brachypelma homori. And I think she's a homori because you can tell. Apparently, you can tell by the little black bits on the legs there.
Yeah.
So you can see kind of like the stripes.
Yeah.
So I think she's a homori.
And is it safe to handle her? Or?
Yeah. She might flick. She does flick sometimes.
Yeah. Adam, let us know when we're down to the last minute, won't you, on the camera?
We have 1 minute 30 seconds.
1 minute 30, so we'll have maybe a minute on this, and then we'll say our goodbyes at the end. And then we will look forward to seeing everyone next week, and we'll go on to the next series. But she's absolutely beautiful. So I hope everyone's enjoying this beautiful... I am. I'm enjoying you guys sharing your hobby with me, and she is beautiful, isn't she? I looked at that and I thought to myself, I didn't realise they're so beautiful.
Well, what people don't know about tarantulas, they actually have little hooks on the end of their feet.
Do they?
Yeah.
And why do they have those?
Just for grip.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so...
Can you feel it?
Yeah. Doesn't hurt.
And it's amazing that she's not at all... Does she give you an indication if she's disturbed at all?
Yeah. If she's not happy, she'll rub her back leg on her bum.
Okay.
And she'll flick hairs.
And you've got to be careful with flick hairs because that can be dangerous.
Yeah, but she would have done it when I picked her up.
Right.
So...
If anyone wants to get bitten by a tarantula, what is the thing you'd have to do? Go straight to the hospital, or is there...
No, it's basically like a bee sting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's not
There's two
life-threatening.
things. So you've got Old World and New World, so just do it quick because I know we're limited on time.
Yeah.
New World bites are like bee stings, but again, you don't know if you have an allergy.
Okay.
So obviously you don't know till you get bitten. But if you haven't got an allergy, it suits you like a bee sting.
Right, we've got 15 seconds. So let me just say thank you to Luca for coming. Thank you, Amy, for sharing your hobby with us and for your questions. Adam, I'd like to thank you for being our cameraman today.
Been a pleasure.
I hope everyone's enjoyed it. We'll see you next week, and it's goodbye for New Forest Morphs.